Hey everyone, Julie Boye here. So excited to be with one of my very good friends today, Shelly Buddha. Welcome, Shelly.
Hi guys.
Shelly and I have known each other for, I think, almost a decade now. We met through our USANA businesses, but we have been given the gift of friendship over all these years. We've been through a lot together. We've been through amazing things to celebrate together. We've also been through some really difficult personal things together. And what I love about Shelly is she is a really multi-passionate entrepreneur. She's always got different ideas and creative ways to be of service to others. And we're going to have a really fun conversation about what that kind of looks like today for you, Shelly. So tell me a little bit about, kind of your entrepreneurial journey, kind of what got you to where you are today.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, first of all, Julie. And it has been over a decade because it'll be 11 years in December. So it's been well over a decade. But anyways, okay. So yeah, so I guess my entrepreneurial journey started very early on. I went to school for sciences and health. And then after university, decided that I wanted to do something a little bit that would give me a little bit more flexibility and freedom than being a doctor. It was actually a doctor that inspired me, that I was shadowing in a placement that I had, who had lots of kids. And she came in one day and she was really struggling with the fact that it was her kid's birthday and she wasn't going to be home to celebrate with them. And it was that moment where I was like, okay, maybe this isn't what I want to do, because I knew that I always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. So anyways, long story short, I graduated from Western and I ended up going to fashion school. And although it sounded like the perfect plan, I went to fashion school, and out of fashion school had some really fun jobs, and then started my own clothing line, which was super fun. And that was probably my first like real entrepreneurial venture. I had it for about 5 years. It was like in stores across Canada. It was on TV shows, this, that, like it was doing really well, but I was a one-woman show. And I found myself in my mid-20s, like completely burnt out. So I kind of took a step back from that. And I got into working in marketing. So I worked for a marketing company for one whole year. And in that one whole year, I realized that I never could have a corporate job or work for anybody again. And I started to really kind of research and try to educate myself on like how wealthy people are wealthy and what they're doing. Because I was like in no way interested in this struggle that I had been feeling for quite some time.
Yeah.
And that's when I met Leanne, another dear friend of ours. And well, I didn't meet her. I went to high school with her, but I had ran into her at an event, and she invited me to an event called 30 Days to Wealth. And that was really where I learned about residual income. It's really where I learned about building multiple streams of income. And that's where I actually kind of dipped my toes for the very first time into the opportunity of USANA, which super excited me. And I ended up running home, basically telling my partner, who's my husband now, that I needed his credit card because I needed to start this. This was like the answer to our prayers. And so then we started our USANA business 11 years ago this December. It's provided us with a lot of time and financial freedom. So it gave me the opportunity to be a stay-at-home mom when my kids were babies, without the stress or worry about income. And then in the last like probably 6 years, my husband and I have been fortunate enough to kind of embark on tons of different entrepreneurial ventures. So so we have like probably like 9 other businesses under our belt right now, and we just continue to grow.
Well, and that's a lot. And what's really interesting too, though, for you is that you built the foundation of your residual income, your network marketing business, and then you started doing other projects.
Yeah.
I think is something that, we don't really talk about enough, about the real value of what that kind of income can provide us. I mean, I've been, in partnership with USANA for almost 14 years. For me, there's been so many beautiful ways that the residual income has served me and my family. especially over the past year and a half. I now homeschool my child. I mean, and we homeschooled out of trauma. Like, I can't imagine if I had had a job. I've had corporate jobs before. If I'd had a corporate job, I couldn't been there for my daughter, right? She wouldn't have been able to come home. Like, I would have had to quit my job. So, I love that you're talking about this residual income. And it's so interesting that, we're having this conversation around self-love and what these different income streams mean and what it can mean to your lifestyle. But it's a very interesting conversation to have, because you're someone who you did a traditional entrepreneurial venture that was on paper successful, but that completely burned you out. Then you went the other direction. You built a, fully residual type of business. And now you've got other business ventures. You're a certified angel card reader, and you're also a practitioner that you can teach. What is it? You can teach others. I don't know what the label is, but you actually are certified to teach others how to become angel card readers, which I love. You have an app in development. Your husband has 3 restaurants and bars right now?
2. We sold 1 after 10 years.
Yeah. You also run a really incredible social media course that has changed my business personally. So I'm really curious, like, you're doing all these things. You've got so many projects going on. How the heck do you even find time for self-love, actually, is my first question.
Well, you know what, Julie, honestly, it's a good question. And a lot of times people look at us and they're like, oh my God, how are you doing it all? It's crazy. And it gives me anxiety to think about it. But when you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work. But a lot of the times when you do what you love, it doesn't give you the income you need to sustain a lifestyle. So this is where, honestly, if I could give you any type of tip, and I know it was funny because I know that you asked me to come on here to talk self-love and how my angel practice has been a huge part of that. And it's been a huge part of self-love for us. I can tell you a story about why I got into that after, which is all about self-love. But to be honest with you, it's the residual income part of it that's allowed us to practice self-love on a daily basis, because without having to get up and run to somebody else's job or work on somebody else's business or work on someone else's passion, it's allowed us the freedom to work on our own passions and our own dreams. And that in itself is a practice of self-love. So my angel card business isn't something that necessarily pays me the bills. It's something that I do because I'm so passionate about it. But it's something that I've been able to embrace and embark on as a journey in my story, because I've had this cushion of residual wealth that I built. And so tapping into something that I'm so passionate about that doesn't necessarily pay the bills, but it's something that I do just to serve my community and pay it forward, and because I just love it so much. That is so self-love and fulfilling all on its own. Do you know what I mean? So, but without the residual income, this part of our journey wouldn't be possible, if that makes sense.
It does. But it's a hard concept to kind of share on a larger scale, because there aren't a ton of people that actually have been able to build a real residual income that lasts, because there are so many get rich quick things, and just a lot of upfront buy a budget product and then try and resell it, and all these things that makes our profession look really difficult and look really awkward. And we really have created something that allows that actual residual to be built. It's a real thing that both you and I and many of our friends have benefited from. And I do all this work around gratitude. And where did it come from? It came from actually being exposed to someone I met at a USANA convention. And then it came from having this space in my life. I wrote a book in 30 days. I could not have done that if I'd had a traditional business or job that demanded me to show up every day for those 30 days. There's no way. And does the book pay the bills? Well, no, but I mean, and this is interesting. A book is a residual income source, but if I was relying on my book, man, I would not be eating a lot of food.
I know. No, totally.
Right?
You make some good points there. And I think that one of the things that we've been blessed with the company that we've partnered with is that also is an act of self-love, is taking care of yourself and understanding the investment to take care of yourself. Because so many people aren't taking care of themselves. And like a simple act of taking your supplements every day and nourishing your body and nourishing your cells and, practicing good, healthy habits and healthy practices, but that is a whole act in self-love itself. So we are kind of blessed that we were partnered with a company that is, the foundation of it is all about practicing daily self-love. And then the benefits of sharing it allow you to really, really embark on like a self-love journey of being able to take care of yourself. I tell people all the time, imagine that we had one day off a week from your corporate job. And imagine, like, what would you do in that one day? Would you sleep in? Would you get a massage? Would you go shopping? Would you get a pedicure? Like, what would you do? Because there is so much that you're not doing because you're stuck and tied somewhere else. And then like I was telling you this story, like your only option is to go after work or the weekends when everybody else is going.
Yeah.
And like that in itself is like anxiety stricken because it's not enjoyable when you're at a grocery store on the weekend and there's 30 people in line. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. It's so interesting, this conversation around, I love this perspective. It's funny because I had a different idea of what you and I were going to chat about. And then you're like, no, this is what I want to talk about when I talk about self-love, because it is the gift of the residual income that we worked hard to build that actually allows more space in our life for self-love. And I'm not, you don't have to go for the pedicure if that's not for you. But like, for me, it's like, I go to the beach in the middle of the day often.
yeah.
I just get up and go because that brings me so much joy, and it is an act of self-love for me. And without the residual income that I'd created with USANA, I couldn't do that. And so I think it's such a beautiful way to look at that. And it's interesting because I do this project for me to learn and grow, and you've allowed me to look at things in a really different way.
Oh, that's good. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
One of the things I was just going to say though, is like, let's just put this into perspective. So like if you woke up on like a Monday morning and like you already had $1,000 of residual income in your account, how would your week look? Like, what would you do differently in your week if your week was already starting off with $1,000 in your account? Like, how would it look? Because it doesn't have to be $1,000. I just said that number just for fun. But like, sure, it could be $500. But like, the fact is if you had that residual income and you woke up with that in your account to start your week off, you would have so much less stress throughout your week than you would otherwise, right? And you would do things a little bit differently.
And to be clear, like, our business still requires work of us, but just not the same type of work that if we had to commute, drive to the office, show up, be there for someone else, come home, burnt out. We are still working in our businesses. We are still supporting our team, our customers, our tribe. Sticking around for any business or job for over a decade is not something to take lightly in this, and especially in our profession. Like, people will jump around from company to company. And I like what you said too, is I think something to think about is like, when I'm taking my supplements in the morning, that's an act of self-love, because I've chosen to take what I've learned to be beneficial for my cells and taking care of my body, which is like the only place I have to live. Mm-hmm. So cheesy, but so true. That in itself is a simple act of self-love. And I think looking with gratitude when I have a handful of supplements, that I can choose to purchase this much that my body really needs and is excited about, but also gratitude for the gift of, this company, and that self-love is like built right into the supplements you're taking every day.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
Can you tell me your story though about how you got into angel card reading? And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, when I was 3 months pregnant with Hank, I was at a Hay House event and I saw Doreen Virtue speak. And I wasn't actually going to stay for her because I don't know why, but before I went to that little session with her, I always kind of thought her voice was like nails scratching down a chalkboard. But I ended up staying because the day was so empowering. She was the last speaker. And she talked a lot about crystal children, which was the first exposure that I had to crystal children. And I was so intrigued by the conversation and just so wrapped up in understanding like this, that I put up my hand and asked a question in a sea of people at Roy Thompson Hall. And my question was, is this something that you can raise your child to be, or is it something that like just happens? And her answer was like, if you have a crystal child, consider it a gift kind of thing. So I was like, okay. And then I didn't really realize until later on in my pregnancy and so on and so forth that Hank was a crystal child. And this was something that I was learning about at that time in my life, because I needed to learn how to basically raise him differently. And so it was something that I chose. I chose to learn about angels. I chose to learn about crystal children. I chose to, really embrace his gifts and raise him in a way where he can nurture them and, work on strengthening them and accepting them, and even really raise him in a way where he can understand what's acceptable when he goes to school and what's not, because like you just want to make sure that you're raising them properly. And so, yeah, so again, having the time to, like, you homeschool, but like in a different way. But like having the time to really like learn about this and really like make sure that I'm doing my due diligence to take care of him in a different way, in my opinion, is also self-love. Like, it was really taking the time not to just like love my child in a different capacity, but also like learn for myself so I can be the best mom for him. Because, they always say your children choose you, right? So I know he chose me for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that we say that with Celine all the time, is like, she chose us as parents. This is part of my journey too, is to raise a child in this way. Celine is a highly sensitive child. It's a totally different, there's just things that you would think would work with most kids that just don't work with her because of the way that she sees the world. So yeah, and I think too, like, again, one of the beautiful gifts that's come from us building a business together in USANA is that we get exposed to things that we might not have heard about if we hadn't been part of the tribe of USANA. Like, you and I went to that event together, right? Yeah. And it was, well, at the same time, but not together. That's so funny. We didn't sit together, but I know I'd heard about it through either from you or from someone in the USANA Grapevine family, because we do have some friends in our USANA family who are part of the Hayes family. So I think about all these other things that we get exposed that allows us to develop our gifts that came out of the choice to build a residual income with USANA all these years that show up. And that is, like, for me, my gratitude work, you're so right. It is such a part of my self-love, is when I'm doing the gratitude work, it feels so good. And it does, like, there's so much joy, and it doesn't feel like it's work at all.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So if you take a look at your lifestyle today and, all the things you've got going on, where do you see like self-love fitting into all that? Just for you or for your clients, like, what kind of things are you looking at when you think about self-love just today?
I honestly think about like allowing yourself time each day. You know what I mean? Like, just finding that space. Like, even the other day I did a post about like, put your phones down and enjoy the bus ride or the train ride or the commute. Do you know what I mean? Like, turn off all the distractions around you, turn off all the chatter, and just like take time to, I don't know, just listen to your inner self. You know what I mean? What does your body need? What does your soul need? What do you need? And nurture that. Make sure you deliver and like you give yourself what it needs, because we're just in such a fast-paced environment right now that like it's almost impossible to go through like a day without just like taking that moment to breathe. You know what I mean? And I just think it's so important to practice like rituals that are super easy to throw into your routine. Whether you have flexibility or not, but just to take care of like yourself.
Well, and it's like, it's the classic saying. It's like, if you don't have time to meditate for 10 minutes, meditate for an hour.
Yeah.
Right. It really is like, it's, you and I work a lot in preventative health, and it's about, not about how do we extinguish the fire, but it's like, how do we stop the fire from getting out of control in the first place? and these strategies that you're sharing, even that like taking a moment, putting down your phone and looking around is so like just those few minutes is really a beautiful act of self-love and being connected to our world. Absolutely. Like touch a tree. Like that's,
I know. I know you like loved this that we used to do, and we don't do it anymore just because my kids can't leave school every Wednesday. But something that we did for a really long time was, and this is like an act of self-love, but like we were able to do it because of the residual income, was we would take every Wednesday off. And so even when our kids were in their early ages of school, like kindergarten, we would take Hank every Wednesday out of kindergarten, and Wednesday was just our day off. It was our family day. And we would put our phones away and we would do fun things like go to the museums or go to the aquariums, and no one was there because it was the middle of the week. And it just felt so good to just like not to have that break in the middle of the week to just connect as a family and to do things together. You know what I mean? And we did it for a really long time. And the only reason why we stopped is because technically he's not allowed to like miss a certain amount of school. So we just stopped it last year when he got into grade 1. But it's still something we try to do once a month as a family, as opposed to every day or every week. Sorry. But yeah.
I mean, we used to have Mommy and Celine days. So when Celine was in school, because I also kept her home during kindergarten, I didn't send her full time. And then in first grade and second grade, we'd have like, if she needed a Mommy and Celine day, we'd just take Mommy and Celine day. And yeah, if I had a job, there's no way I could have done that. And I forget sometimes about those moments, how special those are, and the real gift behind the businesses we've built that have allowed us to do that. And you know, we're going into an interesting time for sure. The tide is shifting economically. You can tell things are changing. I mean, cost of living. I live in the most expensive place in Canada. You know, and here that was talk about a sticker shock when you move from Ontario to BC. You think Ontario is expensive, then you move to BC, and you're like, I don't know if I can put gas in my car anymore because it's insane. So we're moving to a different time though, where economically the economy is kind of slowing and prices are still rising. So why is residual income something we want to look at right now?
Well, I think that there's two things. One, the business that we're in is health. So when we are going through a recession, and it's funny that we're actually going through this mini like little recession time right now, because I started my business in the end of 2008, which was like a recessional time. And I was so successful in building my business because people needed another opportunity. So it's an opportunity to grow an opportunity, or, you know, provide an opportunity for the people who are struggling. But also, like, again, the magic of the company that we're partnered with is that like it's all healthcare products, and you can't stop taking care of your health going through a recession. So it's not like you're wasting money on things you don't necessarily need to be spending money on. And I'm not going to like go into like all the other items or companies or whatever, but healthcare is healthcare. And like when you're going through stress, that's when you actually need more supplement support, because you're creating so much oxidative stress in your body that you need that extra support. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's a great time for people because I think that it gives them an extra stream of income. And I think it gives them an opportunity to offer to other people who are suffering or struggling. And yeah, I mean, I built my business right from a recessional state and had no problem doing it.
And I think too, when you think about this whole beautiful journey of self-love and self-awareness and listening to ourselves and following our intuition and listening to our body, you know, the question that you asked me earlier is, if you don't change anything today, what's going to change? Like,
totally.
That's it. And so, you know, I did this project on self-love because I was like, I'm doing the same things over again and nothing is changing. I'm looking for different answers now. So I'm going to ask different people for different answers of what does this look like? And I'm so grateful for this time you and I had together for, you know, really looking at some of the things that I already had in my own life that I was not looking at with those lenses. And I love that. As we wrap it up, if you would just want to leave people with one thing that they can start doing or stop doing, or a new habit that they can create just from listening to this or watching us, what would that be for you?
Well, I really just think that it's important to make time for self-love in any capacity that resonates with you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, your little interviews that you're doing are so educational on like all the different ways that you can implement self-love in your life. And one might resonate with you and one might not, and that's okay. But I think like as long as you can implement something daily into your routine that you can label as self-love and do it with the intention of self-love every day, then that's all that matters. So like I said, like even if you take supplements every day, just honor it as your self-love practice. Like a lot of times people are just taking their vitamins because it's habit and it's like part of their routine, but understand why you're taking it. Take them with the intention of self-love. You're loving yourself. So just you really label it with the intention,
Yeah.
and choose those things that resonate with you. And if you just change your perspective of why you're doing them and realize that you're doing it for self-love, your whole inner self will change drastically.
I totally agree. Thank you so much. How do people stay connected with you? Where's the best place to find you?
Probably Instagram.
Okay. I would say, yeah, Instagram. Can you just spell is it Shelly Buddha on Instagram?
Yeah, so it's at Shelly SHELLY _ Boda BOUDAH.
Okay. Awesome. So I will make sure
Thanks
everyone
for
knows
having
what
me,
it's like.
Jules.
What's that? And you have a website too, though. You do have a great website.
Yep, ShellyBoda.com.
Yeah. So if they want to find out more about, your angel card practice, maybe that's definitely something
Yeah.
you're still offering. And I really enjoyed this time together. Thank you so, so much. Guys, make sure you follow her on Instagram because she is really amazing on Instagram. I've learned so much just from watching Shelly and the beautiful, like the real kindness and authenticity that you bring to that platform. Really appreciate it. So make sure
Thanks,
you follow her
Julie.
there.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Cheers.